In my last video, I mentioned how I've tried a variety of input methods from DualSense controllers, mouse and keyboard, Pro controllers with extra buttons, Xbox controllers, even Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, and obviously the controllers on the system itself, whether it's detached or attached like it is right now. So I saw someone mention they weren't able to play Call of Duty with the controllers detached. They were only able to play it when the controllers were attached, and if they were detached, it was only in FPS mode. But you can in fact play with the controllers detached and just use it as a traditional controller as you would Joy-Cons, working as one controller. And I'm just going to show you the steps that I took in order to get that working. Everything is fully closed on my desktop. We're just going to open everything up and get this working. With everything fully closed, the first thing I'm going to do is detach the controllers. And they're going to blink red and then they're going to connect. Now, I don't want to lay the system flat on its back when I'm playing Call of Duty because it's just going to block off all the ventilation. So what I do is I put this little Canon lens cover cap, whatever this is, right here. You don't have to use this, it's just what I have around in order to get some airflow from underneath out. It just elevates the system a little bit so the airflow can escape and it's not just trapped against the table. So I've got both controllers connected and you can see that I can move around here with the trackpad. You see my mouse cursor. I'm gonna go ahead and open up Steam, which is where I have Call of Duty. Now, I don't know if going into big picture affects anything, but I usually go into big picture because I'm using a handheld device and it's just easier to navigate. That's my little intro movie, whatever, for SteamOS or Steam overlay, big picture, whatever it's called. Now here in Steam Big Picture, you can see that this is acting as one controller. It's not acting as two separate controllers. It's not acting as a mouse and keyboard. FPS mode is not activated. Make sure that on the bottom of your controller, right controller, if you're trying to get this to work or if you're having trouble, make sure your FPS mode switch is set to off because that will affect the input and it'll think you're using a mouse and keyboard. Now I'm gonna go ahead and open Call of Duty here, hit play. I accidentally hit A with the back button. I do have A mapped to this button right here. Here in the menu, it does recognize this as one controller. I can hit B to go back, I can hit A to enter into something. But in order to play with these controllers separated, and this is something that you're going to want to do every time you start up a match of Call of Duty on this system or on maybe other handhelds or on just PC in general, it doesn't default the controllers to controller, so you're going to want to make sure you always make sure you're on the right input. Here in the controller tab in settings, you're going to click on there. It's the first top setting in the controller section. It's going to set it to mouse by default. We don't want that because if we go into a match and we're set to mouse, we can't move around or do anything with the controller inputs because it thinks we're using a mouse. So you're going to click in there, switch it to controller, get out, and now when you go into a match, it's going to work just fine. It's going to know that you're using a controller. It will reset this basically every time you open up the game. So you always want to make sure you're on the right input, and we're going to go ahead and jump into a gun game, I guess, and show that these controllers work separated. If you need to stretch your arms out or whatever, I don't know if it's more comfortable for people to play with, you know, just the freedom of their hands. You could prop this up in kickstand mode, whatever. Alright, here we go. For me, it's a little bit weirder to aim when the controllers are separated or hit inputs just because I don't have like that extra support from the center of the system, the tablet itself. But it's still, I'm still like pretty accurate and it's very much playable this way. Some people just might find it, you know, less or more comfortable, whatever. You can get used to any input, like I always say, with enough practice. Check, okay, maybe this is the way to play with the separate Joy-Cons. Everyone's just calling these Joy-Cons. Do they have an official name? They do have a name. I just forgot the name. My right one is actually broken. It came this way. There's the little piece where it latches onto the tablet is like slightly chipped. I don't think I'm gonna get this to focus on it, but I'm gonna try it. There we go. You probably could see it. It's like slightly chipped right there. This is just the way it came out of the box, causing the Joy-Con controller, whatever this controller, to be slightly looser on the right side. There's a little bit more wiggle than there's supposed to be. The left one attaches and it's sturdy, has very little wiggle, whereas this one is pretty wiggly. It doesn't fall off or anything like that, but it is definitely not supposed to be this way. I think there's actually been some BIOS updates and some Legion space updates. I'm missing every shot. There we go. I haven't looked into those yet, but I will here soon. Maybe it fixes some of the issues like the dead zone. I don't know actually what's in there, but As far as gyro controls go, I can't really answer too many questions on that in this format. I don't know if this would work in any way or if the gyro is part of this, you know, the system itself and not the controllers. I really don't know too much about gyro and how it works. I've just only tried gyro maybe a bit on the Steam Deck, and it just, like I said in the last video, it's just not something that's for me, so I don't really look too much into it, but I know there's people out there that really care about the gyro features. Look at that, my aim is so bad this way. And that's pretty much it. For the people wondering if you could play that way, yes you can. If your system's docked and you want to use the controllers separate, yes you can do that, because it's basically what we just did right now, except your system would be docked to a second screen. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool that you can play this way. I will be making other videos for other input methods, maybe mouse and keyboard on this system, maybe FPS mode and keyboard. My personal favorite way to play is actually, or has been my favorite way so far, is actually with the kickstand propped up like this and my DualSense Edge controller. It just feels really great to be playing on a screen this size. It's actually comfortable to be playing this way. If you're on a kitchen island, which is where I mainly played this way, kitchen island or the car, I played like this and I absolutely loved it. I think this is a great way to play, especially since the system itself is pretty heavy when everything's fully attached and you're just carrying it in your hands. And I accidentally reopened Call of Duty here, but I'm going to reattach this and just set this up for gaming. That one clicked in, this one did not. Like I said, this one's actually broken, I guess, but I'd rather just keep the detached chipped controller than return the entire unit, risking that they'll give me like a faulty tablet or something. So for now, I'm just going to keep the somewhat faulty controller and deal with it. It's not affecting how I play or, you know, anything that the system can do. It's just more of a comfort thing. I put this back together because I will probably be taking a seat and enjoying some handheld Call of Duty for the time being. Hopefully you guys found this entertaining, enjoyable, informative, whatever the case may be. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.